dating or even considering, I think that a lot of times, we do value women, but when you talk about Black relationships, I think we all come with some baggage. All right. Now, some of us have some baggage that's not gonna fit in the overhead compartment, and some of us have some baggage that you're gonna have to pay a whole lot more for to get on this flight, right? But the reality of it is that's just who we are, and I'm talking about historic. Like if you're talking about being enslaved, where we were and how we engage each other, there's a lot of elements there. But it can be a little difficult because women have expectations in 2021 that they're watching, and they're very material expectations. I agree with you, Claudia, but I'm simply saying that
not all of them are material.
And I'm not trying to generalize.
It's just
women.
Most of the time it's pointing to American women are more material.
And it's America as a society.
Not better.
Let's bring spirit into this.
And I gave you the space to even edit the better part, right? So and I'm with you on that. But let's say this because you guys both tie in two really important pieces, right? You talk about women who are not African American women, and you talk about the experience and what is the influence here. You mentioned social media, but what you're really missing here is the piece that you talk about, the enslavement part. The culture and the trauma that African American men and women and children have faced in this country is unlike any other group. And so when we talk about trauma, what we know is that Black people have a lot of unprocessed trauma. We have a lot of hurt. We have a lot of harm, not just back then, but right now on the daily, right? And so one of the things that we talk about as professionals within my profession is we talk about how trauma impacts people. And so we love to say, Resma Menakem, one of my favorite colleagues, he says that trauma decontextualized within a person looks like personality. And that trauma decontextualized within a family looks like family traits. And that trauma decontextualized within a people looks like culture, right? And so when you talk about how African American women present and what they need as it relates to security and finances and the finer things in life, and to look a certain way and to want a certain thing from their man and to have certain expectations, it's because of the trauma that we are still trying to survive.
Go ahead, Miss Aisha. Look at Shan's face expression.
I partially agree. I don't know how trauma from 400 years ago is the way that we are today, because I think that people are always evolving and changing depending on the times of the days that we live in. I think that our trauma is consistent to the things that we experience as Black women on a daily basis in our own individual experiences. I don't necessarily think we have to take it back to slavery. Like, my daughter is 7 years old, and a white little boy threw juice in her face and pulled her braids and said some really inappropriate things that my daughter has to now experience, and I have to explain to her at 7, right? So I don't think that these traumas are something that are in the past. I think that it's important for us to educate and continue to educate people on the way that they behave and the way that we perceive those things. But I think that Black women just have a way about us, and it is culturally. It's culture, and I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing. Like, there is a huge difference in the way that I perceive information than the way a mirror perceives that information. And I think that that's wholly based on culture, and that could be a good thing and a bad thing. That's why I'd rather date a Black American man, because I feel like he has more understanding of that trauma. And me is, right? And so it's just easier for us to sustain those lasting relationships.
Okay, go ahead, Shan. Send your face expressions after that clip. What do you have to add as far as?
Okay, so just to be clear, what did she say before? What was said before the slavery came in the picture? Because I was confused. Not you, but what was the conversation before slavery got in the picture?
She was breaking down that, like, so she used the you would look at a person and think that it's a personality, like the but that's really just I forget the word. Was it uncompromised? What was the word she used? Yeah, I just seen it in the chat.
Oh, so she was referring to the attitude that women bring.
So her point was that unprocessed trauma in an individual looked like a personality trait. In a family, it looked like a familial trait. Like this just how that family is. In a culture, it looked like that's just cultural. She was kind of making a deep point, but you got to go like real deep to pull it together. What she was saying, because I took it to mean like if you like the stereotypical definition of how people how they view black women is sassy, argumentative, and extra abrasive, right? Like they're gonna check you, treat you, do all of that stuff, right? But the point that I took from what she was saying was that is a form of unhealed trauma that you're gonna lash out like that, and it'll look like that is just the personality traits of black culture, but really it's unresolved trauma from having to deal with everything in America up until this point. And it's unlike any other people because other people come here with the idea of America that we never had in regards to our experience. So the way people interact here is from a good faith thing. And so I use this example, right? You have an uncle that runs a company. He abused you in all ways and forms for 40 years, right? And you have extreme trauma from that abuse. And somebody comes into the company and he's now changed to trying to act like a better person. And they interact with this uncle and they're like, why you don't like your uncle? He the best person ever. And the person that's been dealing with him that last 40 years, like, hell no, this motherfucker, this person is XYZ. And they're like, well, I just don't see it. It's just not a thing. And that person still has all of that baggage from the 40 years of everything you did still on their back. And it'll come out a way. So it'll be like, oh, that girl just snap off, or that guy just snap off at the uncle all the time because that's his personality. When really it's him responding to everything that he's been dealing with that uncle for 40 years that the new person has no understanding of because that's not been their experience. Rightfully, they just wouldn't have that experience. That's what I took from what she was saying.
All right, go ahead, Shan. Did you want to respond now?
Okay, because I had walked out and so I heard materialistic and then I heard slavery. I said, they ain't got nothing to do with slave. We just like things, okay? But when I just heard you say, Marcus, I'm gonna tap in on that. I get it now. You clarified what took place when I walked away. So I would say this. I think that it is the culture, but I'm gonna take slavery out of it because nobody, like, we're not living in slavery right now, right? I would say that it has been culturally accepted to behave this way. And it started in high school. You wanted the girl who popped off at it was like, it was cool to do that, right? You put people in their place, you egg that person on. I see it every day in my school. And the thing about it is, if you look at the entirety, if you look at everybody, most people are not popping off. We just focus on the loud people. If you go to a store, most people are behaving normal, but for whatever reason, we have this tendency to magnify the people who are not behaving normally, right? If you go into an airport and there are all types of diverse people, you focus in on that 1, 2, 3 people who are acting out. You're forgetting that there are thousands of people who are normal, right? And I think that what has happened, like I said before, at a younger age, we have a tendency to promote or accept things that are not right. And that behavior continues even into adulthood. Even when we choose our spouse, I've known guys that say, hey, not spouse, but girlfriends, especially in your 20s, you like the girl who's going to go to bat for you. You know what I'm saying? She going to pop off at the mouth like, oh, she got a little mouth for me, but like you like to put her in a spot. And it's not just us. I've seen Latino women who do that as well. You know, they like the little spicy chick who's going to put them in a place. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They like the little spicy chick who's going to put them in his place. But I think at some point it becomes a little nerve-wrecking. It's like, okay, now I need you to calm that down, you know. But you liked it all this time. So now there's a pattern. Like you promoted it up until this point, and now you're trying to take it away. Like, okay, we don't like that no more. It's like a trend. It's cool one day. Now it's not cool today.